Okay, great. Thank you everyone for joining. Welcome to Ask the Expert. This week's guest is Jason Lau, Chief Innovation Officer at OKX and COO at Okcoin. I'll bring Jason up in just a second to introduce himself. Thank you all for joining. Today's discussion will focus on CertiK's security partnership with OKX, some of the recent work we've been doing, and just a discussion more broadly of what's going on in the crypto space. It'll be great to get Jason's insights. So Jason, if you want to unmute yourself and give yourself an introduction, that'd be great.
All right, brilliant. Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm like you introduced me so nicely. I am Chief Innovation Officer at OKX. I'm also COO at Okcoin. It's great to be here to talk about this recent announcement that we had about our security partnership, but also looking forward to answering some questions from you and the team. I've been at the company for over 7 years now, so I've done a lot of stuff within our firm, but also within our space. So happy to talk a little bit more about that also.
For sure. 7 years is a long time in crypto, so I'm sure you've got a few lessons to share from that time. I'll just touch on the partnership itself for those who may not be aware. So CertiK just completed an audit of OKX's infrastructure supporting the BRC20 token standard, ordinals on Bitcoin. You may have heard about that. So we have a blog post up on our resources page just detailing what the BRC20 token standard is, how it works, some differences it has with the ERC20 token standard on Ethereum. A really great introduction and a technical look from one of our auditors who worked on the audit of OKX's infrastructure. And then OKX Web3 Earn about a month ago integrated CertiK security score into their platform to give users an at-a-glance look at the security of different protocols that offer yield on the platform. So it's really great to see OKX taking security seriously and helping make it more accessible. I think that's something that hasn't always been easy to do is bringing security to the end user. So if you have any thoughts on the partnership recently, I'd love to hear them, Jason.
Yeah, like you said, security is important to us, but also to our users. It's also very important to educate users on why security is important to them also. Maybe if I just take a small step back and break down what OKX does and what we're talking about, it might be helpful for the audience here. So OKX has two main lines of businesses. One is what you may traditionally have heard of as the centralized exchange or centralized trading business. That is much like any other crypto exchange. We offer trading products, and people most importantly, store their assets on the exchange in order to partake in all the features that the exchange offers. The other side is actually where this recent partnerships focus on is our Web3 wallet, what we call the OKX wallet. This is where I spend a little bit of more of my time myself. And the key difference is that this is a non-custodial wallet, meaning users create their wallets and secure them and store them on their own device, utilizing either it's an MPC, meaning we can help you back up and split up your keys so you don't have to remember a seed phrase, or you can choose to back up and save your seed phrase and take security of your assets in your own hands. So the OKX wallet offers users, like I said, self-custody, but more importantly, the ability to basically explore and do all the cool stuff in the broader Web3 space. So you mentioned Earn, Jesse, which is a feature where users can take the assets that they own and stake them, park them, and use them to earn rewards across the ecosystem. And that's where we partnered with you to make sure that users, when they browse Earn options, choices, they can see, which one CertiK has done a sort of code review on to see sort of that relative risk. Beyond that, there's NFTs, there's obviously trading, there's just a whole wide bunch of stuff. The second thing you mentioned on the partnership side is our recent support for Bitcoin NFTs, ordinals, and the whole world of emerging Bitcoin use cases. So we're very excited about that, and it's great to see that we're working with you to make sure the users understand that we've done our part in basically building our code and our product correctly. So I'll pause there real quickly.
Yeah, no, a lot of great points you raised there. I think you're right about how exciting it is that ordinals on Bitcoin have been a very recent area of exploration. How do you see the sort of comparative innovation between Bitcoin, which may have had a reputation as a bit of an older, single trick pony, but in a good way, a secure medium of exchange, whereas you've got the innovation happening on other chains, Ethereum and smaller chains as well. Do you think that it's the role of Bitcoin to be an innovator, or is it better left alone, or how do you see that?
I think there's a lot of debate about this, and this is a fantastic point, because first of all, I don't think Bitcoin is stagnant. I don't think that's been the case. I think the innovation in Bitcoin has always been around how do we make sure that Bitcoin is the most decentralized, the most permissionless, and most accessible network out there, mostly focused around that core use case of sort of self-ownership, self-sovereignty, and ownership of your assets. And so when you open up the network to new ideas, new use cases, whether it's protocols, tokens, whatever, you could be potentially exposing the underlying security and framework of the network to new attacks, right? You guys are very familiar with, a larger surface area for attacks is, you have more to cover, right? And so I think Bitcoin has been innovating in that sense. Whereas other chains, you mentioned Ethereum and others, they've been taking a different approach and just, I wouldn't say, at the expense, but there are certainly compromises where, hey, look, let's try to do a lot of different things and see what works. So it's just different approaches. And so now with what's happened this year with ordinals and this sort of expansion of the Bitcoin design space and use case, I think it's just tremendously exciting because a lot of these ideas were sort of, they've been in the Bitcoin ecosystem, broader Bitcoin ecosystem since 2014, 2013, right? Back then, we had people that really wanted to build these things on Bitcoin, but realized that at the moment it wasn't possible. And not to say that it is possible today, but now people are really experimenting and looking to see how to do it, all while preserving those sort of core principles and values that the Bitcoin community has built up.
For sure. I think the Ordinal project was only recently enabled with the Bitcoin's Taproot upgrade. So yeah, as you were saying, it really just wasn't possible a few years ago. And I think at the end of the day, Bitcoin is a very decentralized open source project, and there's no one to stop people building on it, and it should be encouraged. And at the end of the day, it makes the protocol better, and if it can respond to any new attack vectors that open up, then it becomes stronger, and just at the end of the day, becomes a better network, a stronger network. And it's a good thing for the community as a whole. I know there has been some debate about the congestion and everything like that BRC20 tokens have involved, but that's usage. That's the network being used.
Yeah, I think just on that note, Bitcoin Blockspace usage is a good thing. I don't think Bitcoiners can't really debate on that note. I think you want people to be using Blockspace. And so to see, that happen recently, it's a healthier security budget. It's a healthier ecosystem. You want a variety of use cases for the Blockspace, in my opinion. And to say that one use case is better or worse is not for any one of us to make that judgment. As long as the transactions follow the network rules, I think it's all fair game, which they are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they are legitimate Bitcoin transactions and just a different use case than what has been previously done. So what are some other changes you've seen across the industry during your 7 years working in crypto? Obviously, a lot has changed. We're in an interesting space right now. So yeah, how do you see the trends that have emerged throughout your time in the industry, where we're at now, and maybe what will be happening in the near future? I know that's a big picture question, but it'd be great to get your thoughts on that.
I'll try to answer that. I think one thing that I've learned is that it's not easy to sort of predict, and I've frequently been wrong, if not almost all the time. I've been wrong, but I think one interesting thing is now this broader concept of Web3 is interesting, sort of opening up that whole realm of use cases around digital sovereignty and digital ownership, whether that's around data, tokens, NFTs, art, whatever it is. I think that has been very fascinating, and I think there's a lot of new use cases and business cases to be built once people understand how powerful it is to have actual digital rights and digital ownership. Still early, but I think that's an interesting area of exploration. The other thing is that, for us, one thing, it is important to have that longer term conviction despite not knowing exactly how it plays out. This is for our company, this is our 10th year now. And so, we've been building and focusing on building tools and services and for our users, right? And that's our focus. And where those use cases arise, we're ready to really jump on and make sure that we iterate and improve our products for those use cases. So I think being adaptable, being pragmatic, and being willing to really change quickly when the situation and the markets change is a key part of navigating what we call Web3 and crypto these days. So I think that's broadly my learnings. Hard to predict the future, but also you have to keep an open mind and make sure you build towards what the users are asking for.
For sure, no, that's a great take. I think, keep the conviction strong and remember why you're in the industry, and then just adapt to the changes. I guess that's the role of a chief innovation officer, or maybe you could speak about the role of a chief innovation officer. What's your day-to-day look like, and what guides your thought process when you're evaluating new innovations, new opportunities?
Yeah, I think fortunately, my role is really as a support to our broader team. We're very fortunate to have an amazing team here around the world, all focused on different aspects of our business. And for me, it's making sure that I can support them with whether it's guidance or insight or things like that. And so it's really hard to say what a day-to-day looks like in crypto, and much less in our space, in our company. But there's just so much to do, so much to digest. It's really trying to make sure that our product is well understood by our users, and making sure that our team is also building and understanding what our users are looking at. And the innovation part probably comes in just to maybe look ahead a couple months. For example, we have on our roadmap account abstraction that we're trying to roll out in July. This is obviously for more EVM or Ethereum type compatible chains, but how do we bring that in a way that it's seamless for the user, understandable, and actually solve some of their pain points? At the end of the day, all of our teams, no matter what function you're in, we're geared towards building and delivering for our users. So that's just my small part in that whole effort.
Got it. Yeah, I think as you mentioned, account abstraction will hopefully solve a lot of those pain points that users feel when it comes to interacting with crypto. It's not a straightforward thing. There is quite a steep learning curve. So what are your users requesting right now? What are their major needs that you're meeting at OKX?
Yeah, we talked about the Bitcoin ordinal support. I think that's where we're getting there. Where we about a month ago we launched sort of our first support for viewing, and then now trading, and soon inscriptions, and so basically providing more and more tools for people to deep dive into the Bitcoin ordinals and BRC20 ecosystem. We also actually announced a proposal on extending BRC20 to something we call the BRC20S, which allows for more fields and more programmability to allow for things like staking and maybe DeFi on Bitcoin. So we're definitely committed to the Bitcoin, growing that Bitcoin ecosystem. So that's one. And users have been asking for that quite a bit. We've seen quite a lot of interest on that. Number two is we've had tremendous feedback on, a few months ago now, we rolled out our MPC wallet, which basically means you can create a wallet that's secure and backed up using various components, whether you have a Google Cloud account or iCloud or you have an OKX account. We can help you split up your private key and make sure that you have the ability to recover it without dealing with seed phrases and things like that. Very simple to use, and users have been really excited about that. The feedback has been great. So we're iterating on that to make it even more powerful and make it more seamless. We're looking to enhance and add some more support for different types of ways to back up different parts of the private key. So things like that, right? We're taking feedback from users and building on top of that. I think the the most important thing is for us to hear and get that feedback, whether it's via channels like this or you can tweet at us on our main OKX handles on Twitter, email us. We're always open for feedback to make sure that we are delivering what users want.
For sure, and we will most likely have time for a couple audience questions at the end of this. So if
Awesome.
anyone has some feedback they want to give, has some questions they want to raise, then definitely raise your hand when the time comes. And yeah, you mentioned MPC wallets. That's multi-party computation. We have an introduction to MPC on our blog page, which I recommend anyone who's not super familiar with the concept checks out. I know I wasn't, and then the blog gave me a really good introduction. So turning a little more to current events, like the current state of Web3 and crypto, and as OKX, I'm sure you take a very global view, and there's a whole lot going on in a whole lot of different places, not always the same sort of approach in different countries. But how do you see the sort of global environment for crypto right now? Is it overwhelmingly positive? Is it in danger? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think one thing that I've learned is that it's important to keep that long-term vision and optimism in mind. We are building for a long-term future where users will understand why it's so important to self-custody, to own your own digital assets, and basically be able to do all these things with them without needing or relying on a third party. I think that choice will always be there, whether you want to offload some of your responsibilities to a third party, but having that option is super important. And so when we look at what we are building for and how we view sort of the current landscape, OKX Wallet is our solution for individuals who want to take self-custody into your own hands and explore the wider world of Web3. It's actually, despite all the in some pockets of the world, mostly in the US, I'd say there's been a bit more negativity. If you look beyond that, there's actually been a lot of general optimism around crypto and Web3, specifically if you look at areas like Hong Kong and the Middle East and Dubai, even in Europe with some recent legislation that has been passed. I think we're getting to a place where the sort of regulatory and global understanding of why users may be using this technology and how to protect users, consumer protections, I think there's increasing clarity around that. And that if we get there, I think that just lifts a lot of the, I'd say, black clouds on the horizon or uncertainty that builders and businesses in our space currently face. So, I can see that, in 3 years, 5 years, we'll all be focused back on the use cases as opposed to some of the risks and bad actors that have occurred over the past 12, 18 months. So it is tremendously exciting. I think we always have that optimistic outlook, and we're always building for the long term.
Absolutely, I appreciate your optimism, and I think it's justified. I think there's a lot of great work being done in the space. Account abstraction you mentioned. I think right now is the time that a lot of the tools that are really going to bring on the next billion, to put a number to it, just to bring in the next generation of crypto users are being built, and it'll be really exciting to see those use cases. And it's great to hear that even as a centralized exchange, you have a major product that allows users to take custody of their own assets, which is really true to the whole idea of crypto in the first place.
Yeah, I think in some sense I don't know if self-disrupting is the right word, but we're certainly making sure users have the choice to choose which product they want to use. Self-custody is not for everyone, and that's fine. But for those that choose to go down that path, they need to have robust tools and very simple to use products that are on par with what Web2 or centralized businesses can offer. And when we circling back to our partnership and our recent announcements, I think it's just so important that users understand that today there's still a lot of risk involved in how you do that, go down that path of self-sovereignty and self-custody. And so I think you guys have been around for I want to say 5 years maybe.
Coming up on 6.
Coming up on 6. Okay.
6, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And so, look, we've worked together multiple times over the years, and, each part of the, of what we do in the ecosystem has its has its role, right? We're building up towards something where users don't necessarily need to understand what open source code is, and they don't need to look at smart contracts because they can rely on tools to do so. But at the same time, they can if they want to, right? So it's making sure we have that choice and clarity for users up and down the value stack.
For sure. That's a great way to put it. Let's turn to some audience questions now. It's your opportunity to ask the expert. So Harvey Milk, I'll add you as a speaker, and feel free to ask Jason your question.
Yeah, I have a question. For the Merlin hack, you announced a $2 million recovery fund for Merlin DEX victims. Then you unpinned the tweet. It says you recovered like $160K since then. When are you going to actually do something about that? You've been banning people from the Telegram.
That is something that's being worked on. I appreciate the question, Harvey. It is a complicated process that we are addressing internally. And yeah, let's keep questions related to OKX and ordinals, anything like that. Okay, we've got Cats. If you want to ask a question to Jason.
Yeah, thanks for having me up. I just wanted to ask a question, and it can kind of be for kind of both parties. My question is more around AI and how we slowly start to see all of this integrate, because ultimately it's happening whether we like it or not. So how does this all play into both from a security perspective, but also just the daily functionality of the DeFi space, and how that all plays into everything? It's a bit of a wide generic question, but hopefully take it how you feel.
Yeah, the intersection of AI with Web3 and crypto generally?
Yeah, just as a general, more broad spectrum. Obviously, you guys have got the security side, but then you've got then the other side, which is just the generic side of contracts and everything else in terms of just the way it functionally works.
That's a great question. Do you want me to answer, Jesse?
Yeah. Let's let you as the expert take this one, Jason.
Well, first of all, I'm not an expert, certainly not an expert in AI, that's for sure. And I think even in crypto, it's hard to beware of people that call themselves the expert because there's just so much to learn. So at least from what I know on AI and what we're doing with AI, we've added internally, we've been experimenting and adding layers where AI can sort of help improve efficiency, I guess. A lot of it comes down to, at least today, making sure our centralized systems have the ability to detect and prevent fraud. And I think that helps sort of the broader ecosystem. We're doing also experimenting with things like, we have a chat bot where users can ask questions and things. So simple sort of language stuff where, we can maybe help provide answers in a more accessible manner. But looking forward, I think there's a lot of cool stuff I think that intersection of AI and crypto and blockchain leads to actually a much healthier AI ecosystem is my take. Right now there's all this doomsday chatter around how AI can just do a lot of bad things, right? And I think when you pair that with blockchains and specifically with crypto assets, you allow AI bots to have an element of truth and provenance built in. I think that's something that very smart people are already exploring, and that's just something that I can see playing out for our sort of humanity's benefit. And then secondly, if AI bots and agents themselves have access to wallets and accounts and crypto digital assets, basically, you can now see a world where good AI agents are rewarded for providing good behavior, right? And so we can basically use economics and economies to help regulate behavior of AI. So I think it's interesting, and I think we're going to be talking about this for a long time to come.
For sure, it is a super interesting topic. I think it's sort of lucky that we have crypto and blockchain in a world of AI. When you've got the ability to have actual digital scarcity, whether that's with tokens or NFTs, in a world where AI can create web pages, text, images, all those sorts of things, then having sort of not restrictions, but rails that can go on, or where you can prove where it comes from, is a very important thing. And I think blockchain enables that in a world where AI is becoming more and more important. It's nearly coming up on time now. So, Jason, are there any other topics you'd like to touch on? Anything you'd like to say about the just the OKX's approach to security. Obviously, you guys are taking major steps in the space to raise the level of security and transparency, which is a mission we share here at CertiK. So yeah, any final thoughts on security before we wrap this up?
Just on security, I think this is a never-ending quest, right? We're always trying to improve. And so we have a bug bounty program. We also have multiple channels where you can provide feedback to us. We're also working with you, continue to work with you, Jesse and the team, to highlight and educate users on best practices and surface security data. So look, it's never ending, and we're always keen to take feedback on how we can improve.
That's a very commendable attitude. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for sharing your insights today. Thank you for listening to your users and building new products that serve them while remaining true to the ideology of crypto. I think that's a really great thing to see. Thank you for taking the time today. And yeah, it's been a great discussion. We look forward to working with you in future.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.